All right, so I want to talk more about Cleon Sammons. Two two was it 266 East 29th Street in Bremerton, Washington. Now, I didn't see the red flags to start with. Okay. This was when I told y'all Crystal Ann Brown invited me out to Washington State. Now, before she actually invited me out, I told y'all we had a couple conversations on the phone. She knew that I, had just got evicted. She knew that I was moving around. At the time, I didn't know, that the whole family was working together to keep me or to try to keep me from ascending. And that, they knew the secrets about who I really am and, my real parents. I didn't know nothing about that. So I didn't think nothing of it. Okay. Talked to Crystal a few times before I actually went. So what I'm getting right now is that she got the drop on what was going on. Her and the family and everybody that they hired to, come in and be my handler. They got together, the chat or whatever to see what the plan was going to be. Okay, I didn't stay in Georgia long because the energy was off at Jarvis Hosea Baldwin at Sandra Faye Green, her house in Valdosta, Georgia. We was there for probably about 2 weeks. Then the stimulus came, and when the stimulus hit, Crystal had by then already told me that I could come if I wanted to drive. I didn't mind driving. I just wanted to get away at that time. But she had told me that I could come, and then the stimulus came, and when the stimulus came, we left. Okay. But I had talked to her a couple times over those couple months, like 3 months that we was out here, 2-3 months that we was still in Lumberton, North Carolina, where I was just going from house to house. Like I went to grandma's house, just French house, went to her house. I was there for a couple days. She started being funny. It's like every house that I went to, they was kicking me while I was down. All right. This was them trying to keep me from ascending. Like Jarvis, he kicked me out of his daddy house and his brother house. Okay. Didn't know that was orchestrated until, now I know. But, and then when I went to Jaquela McKinnon, Tanae house, which somebody I used to hang out with, used to get high with, she just kept trying to get me to get back on the cocaine. And I just kept telling her, no, like, I don't want to do no drugs. Like, I'm done with the drugs, and that's what ultimately made me leave from over there, because I'm like, I done told this bitch I don't get high no more. I don't want to get high no more, so I end up leaving. All right. Daphne Brown was staying in a hotel around this time in Durham. And so I went up there. I was up there for a little while. Then I had came back. Davin had the show. Tasia taught me, coerced me into coming to the show. Went to the show, me, her, and Josiah Mumford. And his show was in Fayetteville, so we went there. And then after that was when Tasia asked me, did I want to stay over there for a little while. So everybody that they loved to see me down, so they wanted to bask in that. But I didn't stay nowhere long. When I was at Tasia's, I was probably there for 2 weeks. And she was living in the trailer park in Fayetteville off of 301. I can't think of the name of it right now, but she was living in the trailer park then. Now, mind you, I had done talked to Crystal, all right? And then I allowed Crystal, because I didn't know nothing about tarot then. But I let her do a reading on me. I gave her permission to, tap into my energy. And I gave her permission to do that twice, all right? So the first reading, she did it while we was over the phone, while I was sitting in front of Tasia's house. And she did a reading. She was telling me what she seen, okay? what she seen was that my future was bright and beautiful. I guess that was them trying to confirm, what my future was looking like. Regardless of what was going on, my future is still looking bright. So then I got there, and she kept saying that it was a meeting that her and they act like they were making movies. So it was Crystal Brown. It was a dude named Dre. I know him if I see him, but he was in the Army. Okay. Now, mind you, Crystal Ann Brown, her and Rendell moved out there to Tacoma, Washington, because that's where Rendell was getting stationed at. That's where he got stationed at when he came out of basic training. Okay. But I don't know how Crystal met Dre, but then there was a gay guy named Ty Williams. At least that's what he said his name. When he was light skinned, he was tall. Damn, did he have hair? But you didn't know that he was gay until somebody told you. All right. So it was Crystal Ann Brown. It was Dre. I don't know what Dre last name is or whatever. Y'all can find out. Get up with Crystal Ann Brown or Keith Cleon Sammons and ask them who the players are in this little group they had. So it was Crystal Ann Brown. It was Keith Cleon Sammons. It was a dude named Dre. It was Ty Williams. He was the one that's supposed to be gay. They had, like, they was doing a podcast and all this, that, and the third. Then there was a dark-skinned girl as well. I can't remember what they call her name. I can't remember what they said her name was, but I only seen her like once on the screen, like when they was talking and having their little meetings, what they called them. But I only seen her like once or twice, and then they was like, well, she wasn't gonna be in the group anymore because like nobody could get up with her. She wouldn't pick up, and she was unreliable is basically what they were saying. And I think she was like a nurse or something. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I only seen her a couple times, and I can't remember what they said her name was. Bree or something like that. Bree is something that they called her. But anyway, this was a little friend group. So when I got there, it was like the day that I got there. Was it the day of or the next day? I think it was the day that I got there. She made like she had a meeting, and I think this was just her introducing me to, or the players I think they are a part of a cult as well. Like they had their own little cult going on, or they were part of this bigger cult, or part of this plan to set me up. They sent in the handler basically. So this was how me and Keith met. All right. Now, they had a little meeting. They did it on the video. So me and Crystal was sitting in her car. She had the video on, and I was just sitting there listening. Like, I'm just here. She was like, I want you to come and meet these people. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll meet them. So, we were, they were just having a little meeting, and Keith Cleon Sammons, he was the talker. All right, so he took charge. Everybody introduced themselves. They asked me to introduce myself. I introduced myself, and then they had a little meeting. They was talking about everything. Bree, that's what they called her. I don't know her whole name. I don't even know if that's her real name, but Bree. But so yeah, after the meeting, Keith asked me for my number, and he was like, he was just like, "What's up? What's your name? You cute. Can I get your number?" And it made me blush or whatever. He was a good sweet talker. He was really good at what he did. He could talk a bitch out her drawers, okay? But at the time I didn't know that, this was a part of the plan. He was the person that they sent in to handle me. One of the people they sent in to handle me. And while I was moving around, they knew and they seen that, okay, she's not going to stay in one place for too long. So it's, the plan is not going to work that way. So that's when they started trying to formulate the plan. And that's when Crystal invited me out there. okay? But it took them like a month and a half of planning before she invited me out, because she had to get together the people over there on that side, you know, to go along with what they were doing. I just got a confirmation on that, okay? And so that's how me and Keith met, through Crystal. They had a friend group. Now, I don't know what type of relationship Keith, Cleon, Sammons, and Ty Williams had, but I do remember Keith saying some gay shit before. Okay. I don't know if he's on the down low. I don't know for 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure. But I know, like, there was on Valentine's Day, he said that he was out eating dinner with Ty. He could have been with somebody else and been lying. I don't know, but he could have been with Ty. And there was a comment that he made one day too, where he was like, Ty is like his girlfriend or something along that lines. And like, I ain't the brightest crayon in the box. I am very bright, pretty bright, but I know a straight nigga is not going to make a reference to a gay nigga in no type of way. He ain't gonna say, oh, that's his girlfriend, or like he was like, that's like my play girlfriend. That's what he said about him and Ty, and it caught me off guard, and I was like, what? But it didn't dawn on me until I'm just sitting here thinking, like, is this nigga gay? Like, is he on the down low? But I know that there was a meeting that was held at Dre's house where me and Crystal went, and Keith was there as well, but he was with Ty, and he had went and picked up Ty and brought him to the meeting. So I don't, like I said, I don't know. I'm not saying that he is, but I'm just saying he said some gay shit, and he even was talking about his ass one day, and he was like, that motherfucker juicy, ain't it? And I'm looking like, sound gay, but you know, I just left it alone. And then too, he you know, some men have butt sex with their women, you know, so he knows that there is a lot that goes into butt sex. And the only other person that I know, that me personally from my experience with them, I've Josiah Mumford, you know, somebody I used to hang out with, a gay male. He's gay. And before I met him, I didn't know that butt sex required, you know, dudes that have sex with other dudes. I didn't know that they clean it out, and you know, there's a lot that goes into it, until, you know, I had a gay friend that, you know, I hung out with, and he put me up on, like, yeah, it's a lot that goes into it. Like, you gotta clean it, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. I didn't know that, okay, but Keith knew that as well. Now, I don't know if that's because he had a gay homeboy that he called his best friend, that he said was his play girlfriend. You know, that's some gay shit. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he gay or on the down low. All I know is he was saying some gay shit. I've heard him say some gay shit a couple times. That's all I'm saying. But I got on here just to tell y'all about this friend group that Crystal Ann Brown had, and how me and Keith, Cleon, Sammons met, how we got up with each other. Okay. We exchanged numbers, you know, he called, we started talking, went out on a date, you know, we got together like 2 or 3 times. We only had sex like 2 or 3 times. And then after that, they was like, you know, my intuition started going off. They kept telling me to pay attention to little different things, because it was one night I had called him, and he was out. He said he was at Ty's house, and he said it was Ty and some more of the gay boys. Now, all I know is birds of a feather flock together. I ain't saying he gay. I'm just saying birds of a feather flock together. And like I said, I don't know no straight niggas that's sitting around hanging out with gay niggas. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But if y'all haven't already, check into Crystal Ann Brown, Keith Cleon Sammons, Ty Williams, the girl named Bree, find out who she is, and Dre, okay? I don't know Bree whole name or if that's her whole name. I don't know Dre whole name or if that's his whole name. I know Dre said Dre was in the army, okay? Um, but I think that Keith was paid to come in and do what he did to me. Like, I think he was paid to come in and seduce me, and because they knew that it was time for me to ascend. And so they were doing everything that they could to keep me from ascending. So me and Keith, we only were in a relationship for about 2 months. Because after we had sex the first night, he jumped up the next morning and was like, well, we're dating and shit. So I was like, all right, whatever. So we became boyfriend and girlfriend for 2 months. Everything was good until I started seeing, the red flags. He was saying gay shit. And I didn't know that Ty was gay until he told me. Okay. And I didn't know, he said, this is what he told me, that him and Ty hadn't even known each other for about 6 months, but they were best friends. Hey, I'm not saying, I don't know. All I'm saying is there was some gay shit going on. He was saying some gay shit, and he said some gay shit, he did some gay shit, and I don't know no real ass straight niggas that do shit like that. And I'm about to be 35 years old next month. That's all I'm saying. At least I think I'm about to be 35. I don't know how old I am. I don't know when my real birthday is, really. I don't know. Hold on, Zoo. But I just got on here to give y'all some more information on the background of me and Keith Cleon Sammons. It's possible he was already in a relationship and I was the third party and didn't fucking know it. Had just so that they could. He was sent in to break my heart. That's what he was sent in for, so that I would be low vibrational, so that I would be susceptible to the spells and stuff that they was doing, so that they could keep me from ascending. Okay, because they knew who I was before I knew who I was. These people, these people that have targeted me, they knew who I was before I stepped into my power. This was before I stepped into my power. Like, I won't reading cards or nothing. He was the one that actually gave me a card deck. He was the person that gave me. Crystal introduced me to tarot by doing the reading, and then I had somebody else that did a reading too, but I wasn't interested in reading cards. He gifted me a deck, and he also gifted me the herb book that I have. And he was the reason, him giving me those gifts was the reason why I started to explore my gifts. Like, I didn't know I had the gift of reading and seering and, reading energy. Like, I didn't know about that. I was very new to my spirituality then. But he gifted me the deck. I read the deck, when I was in front of Crystal when she did my reading in person. I read the cards and I didn't, never didn't think of nothing about tarot or nothing. But I could read what the cards were saying when she pulled them. And I think that made her a little mad, because I'm like, I see what the cards say. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't had no book or nothing like that. Like, I just knew what they said. But I didn't think nothing of it. And then he later gave me a gift of a tarot deck. And that was my first tarot deck that he gave me. And he also gifted me with the book on herbs. And then that's when I went into healing. And that's when I went in and started healing myself from herpes. That's when I reversed herpes. That's when I started my journey of reversing herpes, when he gave me that book. I didn't know what my gifts were. He was the one that introduced me to some of what my gifts are. Okay. But, when I was little, I knew that I always knew when something bad was getting ready to happen. I didn't know what to call it though. I just had a feeling, and that was my intuition. Like, something bad getting ready to happen. Like, I can remember being places like, at parties and stuff, because I used to go to a lot of parties, and in the club and stuff, I'd be like, it's time to go. And it'll just come out of nowhere. And everybody be like, what? And I'd be like, it's time to go. And everybody always knew, anybody that went out with me and they had one of them it's time to go moments with Dasha, they can tell you, like, yeah, as soon as she said it's time to go, if you didn't go, you be caught up in some bullshit. But I remember, doing that very often. I didn't know what it was. And then too, when I was younger, when I was a child, I remember lots of times where I seen supernatural things, like in the sky, and where I seen ghosts and demons. Like, I didn't know that those were gifts, because it scared the shit out of me when I was little, when ghosts used to pop up talking to me, and when demons, when I could see a demon on a person, or I could see demons moving around in the house. It just shit used to scare me. So, I didn't know that they were gifts at the time. So I was scared. But I've been gifted since I was a child, and I have quite a few memories of, seeing stuff and hearing stuff, and, knowing when it's time to get the fuck on, you know what I'm saying, before some shit happened. I have memories of that stuff. But I just got on here to tell y'all about that friend group. There's something strange going on in that friend group. And even with the friend group outside of there, Keith was a part of another friend group. And again, he said something gay, where he was saying, like, him and his friends, like, they hug, and like they're very touchy and stuff like that. But he was like, we're not gay, that's just what we do. That's what he told me. So he was like, if you see us do that, don't be alarmed. And then I went out with him and his white friends one time. And I immediately got uncomfortable. And it was like, he didn't care about how uncomfortable I was. All he cared about was, it was somebody's birthday, but his friends were weird. It was some white people. He said that they were in the film industry. It's possible that they are part of a cult as well. They probably all a part of the same cult, or, different cults, and he's a part of different cults, or it's all just one big cult. And, I don't know exactly. All I know is this shit just hit my spirit, and they told me to come share that with y'all. Don't know exactly how it ties into the case, but I do know that Crystal Ann Brown orchestrated some things. I know that Jesse Ann French was a part of orchestrating it. Daphne Brown.
There's a different type of book outside.
Okay, I'm going to see Torrance Williams. the family. They orchestrated some things. Crystal Ann Brown mama, I told y'all, Julia Rich, Rendell Thompson, like all of these people, I remember them doing funny things. And like I said, Julia Rich came, she was there before I got there. She was coming to get the kids. Okay, but that was always, because Crystal ain't never been no good mama ever in her life, ever. Her mama has always had her kids. And then Rendell Thompson, although him and Crystal Ann Brown were separated, he came over there to her house while I was there 2 or 3 times, and the look on his face when he came was like, he looked it strange, and like, he was guilty of getting ready to try to do some bullshit. But I didn't know then what was going on. But I know now, thinking in retrospect, like, damn, he was sent in by this group of people as well. He was sent in by this cult. Keith Cleon Sammons was sent in as a handler. I don't know if he was supposed to kill me, but I do know that they sent him in to love bomb me, to manipulate me, to put me in a third-party situation, to try to make me feel like I was worth nothing, and, to try to keep me low vibrational. But I eventually, it took me some time, and I think he did some spell work on me, too, while we were having sex. But it took me some time to completely break free, but I did. I started breaking free, and then I would check in every couple months. You know what I'm saying? He blocked me, and he was ignoring me, like, just things just changed just for no reason. And I think because when me and Keith got together, it was like love at first sight for real. Although I felt like then it felt real. It felt real. But thinking in retrospect, I know that they sent him in. So I know that my feelings were real. I know that, I fell in love with who he was portraying to be. That's what I fell in love with. Although, he wasn't 100% being himself. It's the shit is crazy. But y'all need to look into that friend group. Is basically what I'm saying. Keith Cleon Sammons in the group that he said was the film group, the people that he do film jobs and stuff with, cause that's what he claimed his job was. He would go set up for different sets and things of that nature. I don't really know what his fucking job was. He did mention something too about him knowing how to scam. Okay, he was saying something about bank statements and how he could make fraudulent bank statements and stuff like that. So I don't know exactly how he ties in, but I don't give a fuck if anybody who has done anything wrong towards me, nigga. I don't give a fuck what type of feelings I have for you in the past. All y'all can lick the crack of my ass. Real talk. And everybody who has done anything wrong towards me, y'all got to pay y'all karmic debt. And now I don't, like I said, I don't know if he was sitting in to kill me. I know he was sitting in to love bomb me, to manipulate me, to keep me low vibrational. I know that he has participated in organized crime in that way. Okay. I know that he fell in love. I know that I fell in love. And then he got scared. I do know that. So I don't know the other details. All I know is what I seen and what I noticed. So y'all look into that. Look into those relationships. He had another couple. Sia is what he called her, white girl. She had colorful hair, big old butt, ugly in the face, but she had a husband and they had 2 kids. Said they live in a camper or something. Keith used to watch the kids sometimes for them. So check into Keith Cleon Sammons, his friend groups. Crystal Ann Brown, her friend groups out there in Washington State. Randall Thompson, his friend groups out there in Washington State. Not only that, who they were connected to on the military base that they were stationed at. Okay. What happened with their separation, who they ended up roommating with, because Keith Cleon Sammons, 266 East 29th Street in Bremerton, Washington, there was a dude that lived, like, he was the roommate of a dude, but the dude, he was in the Army as well. So I don't know how everybody ties in, but if y'all haven't already, get these people phones tapped, get their phones tapped. I had reached out to Keith, I think it was last year, about some stuff, confessing my feelings again. And I needed closure at this point because I was having a hard time, like, not thinking about him sometimes. Sometimes he would pop up in my spirit. And I needed closure so that I could completely close out that chapter and move on. And so I had sent him an email after he had not responded to me a few times. And he responded. And when he responded, it was like he was trying to get back in, but only to be beneficial for the cult and the group that he's a part of. So, I let him have it after that. After that, I told him how I felt and let him know. I ain't cuss him out, but I cussed him out. I really told him because he was trying to play me like I'm not feeling what I'm feeling. And he wasn't being true to what he was feeling as well. But I let him know what was really good. And that was it. And then I sent him another email about some books that I had found. But then they was like, fuck that, put them bitches in the trash. So I put them in the trash. I let him know I trashed them. Haven't sent him another email. Haven't talked to him. Don't care to talk to him. Don't give a fuck about none of that. Fuck him. And fuck all them niggas who did me wrong. Okay? Especially you. Because you a stinking ass, bitch ass nigga for tricking me like that. And playing with my heart like that. My heart is not to be fucking played with. But I'm so grateful that all of y'all are reaping what the fuck y'all have sown. But yeah, check into those friend groups. That's what I got on here to let y'all know. If y'all haven't already, check into those friend groups. And make sure y'all got their phones tapped and surveillance on them and all that.